In this example, we are asked to express this log as a sum or difference of logs and then expand completely. The first thing we need to notice is that the argument contains a root. In these cases, we want to rewrite the problem with a fraction power. So we'll keep the y to the third, the z squared, and the x to the fourth that we have underneath the root, but then we have a third root, which is a 1/3 power. From here, we need to look at the argument and think what the big picture of that argument is. Well, the entire argument is to the 1/3 power, so that means I would need to use my power rule first. Power rule states that you multiply the power on the argument in front of the log. Then we keep the log, and then we keep the argument, but we remove its power. From here, we've said that if you have a power, it's a good idea to make sure to use a bracket around whatever is behind it, especially when you have a power to begin with. On the inside of this log, we see the log of a quotient, so we need to use quotient rule next. Keep the 1/3, keep the brackets, and then we're going to take log base 5 of the top, and then minus, be careful here, put another bracket, log base 5 of x to the fourth. Okay, the second bracket is because I'm using quotient rule, and potentially I may need to distribute that negative to more than one term. Okay, from here, look at the argument we have on the first log. That is a product. So we're going to use product rule on that piece. Keep the 1/3, the bracket. We'll have log base 5 of y to the third plus log base 5 of z to the second, and then minus. Over here on this piece, we see a power on the argument. So there we need to use the power rule. So the 4 would be written in the front, and we would have log base 5 of just x. Okay, from here we have two arguments that are not simplified, and those are the ones that have powers. I'm going to go ahead and distribute this negative in. I'm going to keep the 1/3 and the brackets at the front as they are for now. This first log would be rewritten 3 log base 5 of y. The next one would be plus 2 log base 5 of z. And then distributing, that would just make that 4 negative, and then log base 5 of x, and then close bracket. Okay, now each one of the logs at this point are simplified as far as not being able to take the arguments any further using one of our 3 rules, or not being able to use a special rule that would simplify the log completely. So now I'll take this 1/3 and I'll distribute to the front of each of these logs. 1/3 of 3 is just 1, so this first one becomes just log base 5 of y. 1/3 times 2 is 2/3 log base 5 of z. And then finally, minus 4/3 log base 5 of x. And there's your final answer. Now, we've showed a lot of steps here. I've actually showed every single step that I possibly could. If you can do this using more steps and accurately get the correct answer and do everything mathematically properly, then I don't mind if you cut out a few steps.